So students, in this lecture we are going to discuss about nephron, the structure as well as the function of the nephron. So clear explanation will be given in this video. So watch this video till the end so that you can clearly understand what I'm saying about. So coming to this nephron. So firstly I'm going to explain you the diagram of the nephron, then you can understand the function of this nephron. Okay. So here there will be glomerulus. Basically this is called as a Bowman's capsule. This blue color one is called as Bowman's capsule, and inside this Bowman's capsule there will be a bunch of blood capillaries called as glomerulus. Okay, inside this Bowman's capsule, this is a cup-like structure which can you see here, right? And that cup-like structure is called as Bowman's capsule. So inside this Bowman's capsule, bunch of blood capillaries will be present, and they are called as glomerulus. So this glomerulus will start with efferent arteriole and it ends with efferent arteriole. And one of the most important thing which you people have to remember is that this efferent arteriole will be thick. It will be bulk like structure, whereas coming to this efferent arteriole, it will be very thin. Okay, it will be very thin and narrow. So this is one of the most important thing which you people have to remember. So why it is most important, I'm going to explain you the mechanism. Okay, so this will be a Bowman's capsule, and this is glomerulus, and this glomerulus efferent arteriole will be very thick, and in efferent arteriole will be coming to this efferent arteriole will be very thin. Okay, so this is what you have to remember. So this is the structure of this Malpighian body. So basically this glomerulus plus Bowman's capsule, this both together is called as, this body is called as Malpighian body. And now coming to the next part, which is called as proximal convoluted tubule. So this proximal convoluted tubule is arised from the bottom of the Bowman's capsule. Okay, so in this Bowman's capsule itself, there will be a present of small cells which you can observe with the help of a microscope. So the small cells are called as podocyte cells. So basically these podocytes are present in the surface of this Bowman's capsule at the bottom region. Okay, so you can understand the structure of this these podocyte cells in the Bowman's capsule once if you observe with the help of a microscope. Okay, so from this, the proximal convoluted tubule, which is also called as shortly it is said to be as PCT. So that will be arised from the bottom of this Bowman's capsule, right? So that is called as proximal convoluted tubule. And now this proximal convoluted tubule will get arised to the loop of Henle. So this region, this U-shaped region is called as loop of Henle. And basically this loop of Henle will be divided into two regions, and those two regions are descending limb as well as ascending limb. Okay, so here it is called as descending limb because the molecules from this proximal convoluted tubule will move from this region, upper region, to the lower region, hence it is called as descending limb. Whereas coming to here, it will move towards upward direction, hence it is called as ascending limb. And once it reaches, all of these molecules reaches to the ascending limb, then it enters into the next part is the distal convoluted tubule. So this region, this whole region is called as distal convoluted tubule, which is shortly also said to be as DCT. Okay, and now after this distal convoluted tubule, then it will be arised to the collecting duct. It will be arised to the collecting duct. This region, this particular region where the distal convoluted tubule will get attached to this collecting duct is called as collecting tubule. So as if you see in the diagram itself, there will be many collecting tubules. So this is one of the collecting tubule, here will be another, here another, and here there is another collecting tubule. So here not only one nephron, basically in one kidney there will be million of nephrons. So we have two kidneys, so we have 2 million of nephrons. So each kidney contains 1 million of nephrons. So this collecting duct should have million of collecting tubules such that it can attach to each and every nephron which is mainly present in the kidney, right? So not only one nephron. So what I have shown is only the one nephron. In this way there will be million of nephrons. So those nephrons should be attached to each of the collecting tubule which is attached to the collecting duct, right? And now what will happen, this collecting duct, this common collecting duct will get attached to the uterus, right? Will get attached to the uterus, and then it will be opened into the urinary bladder, right? And then what will happen, then finally the urine which has been passed out from this nephron to the urinary bladder will be excreted out in the form of urine by the human body, right? So this is what just the structure which I have explained you till now. So what is the mechanism which is mainly present behind this function of the nephron is what I'm going to explain you now. So listen properly. So students, The function of the nephron can be explained in 4 stages. So listen properly from here. First one is glomerular filtration. Second one is tubular reabsorption. Third one is tubular secretion. Fourth is concentration of urine. So firstly, let us discuss about this glomerular filtration. So basically this glomerular filtration occurs in the region called as Malpighian body. So what is Malpighian body? I have said you, this glomerulus and Bowman's capsule together, it leads to the formation of Malpighian body. So this is called as a Malpighian body, right? And inside this, in this Bowman's capsule, there is a presence of glomerulus. So this glomerulus filtration, the glomerular filtration process will be done in this glomerulus itself. So how it will be done? Let us see now. So basically I have said you, right, there will be efferent arteriole and efferent arteriole, right? And this efferent arteriole will collect blood, will receive the blood, and once it receives the blood, then it enters into this glomerulus, right? And now what will happen in this glomerulus? The filtration will be done. The blood filtration will be done. So once the blood filtration will be done, then the water, salts and waste material along with this some other positive materials like glucose, amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, sodium ions, potassium ions, like this different type of molecules will be erased out, and then the pure blood will get released out from this efferent arteriole, right? So now what will happen in this glomerulus? The filtration of these molecules will be done. So there will be two type of molecules which will be filtrated by this glomerulus. So what are those two molecules? They are good molecules as well as the bad molecules. And in other words, you can say this good molecules or waste molecules, or these bad molecules or waste molecules. So these good molecules are nothing but the glucose, amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, Na plus ions as well as the K plus ions. So coming to this waste materials, waste molecules are water, salts and waste. So as if you see here, I have mentioned here, so note it down. So here, what are the waste materials which will be filtered out by this glomerulus? Water, salts and waste. So these are the waste materials, and this together constitutes to form primary urine. Okay, so this is one of the apart. And coming to the next one, it also filters good molecules. So what are those? Glucose, amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, Na plus ions, K plus ions. So these are the things which will be filtered out by this, which will be done by this filtration, will be done by the glomerulus. And then what will happen is that now here, once the blood is filtered out and once all of these molecules has been released by the filtration, then that filtered blood, the remaining blood, the filtered blood will move out through this efferent arteriole. And one of the most important thing which people have to remember is that here I have said you, right, efferent arteriole is thick. It is thick in nature. It is very thick, right? Thick in structure. So coming to here, this efferent arteriole, it is thin and it is narrow, right? So now what will happen? Now here the blood will enter, as it is very thick and the diameter is very high, then what will happen? Then the blood will enter into much amount into this glomerulus. Okay, it will enter as much amount into this glomerulus. So here what will happen? Here efferent arteriole is very thin and narrow, right? So now what will happen is that the pressure will get increased. Because more amount of blood will be enter into this glomerulus, but less amount of blood will get secreted out by this glomerulus through this efferent arteriole. So as it is very thin in nature, then the pressure will get gradually increased in this glomerulus. Exactly right. So now once this glomerulus will increase in its concentration, then what will happen? Then all of these molecules will start releasing out. So what are those molecules? The bad molecules as well as the good molecules, which I have said you in simple words. This water, salts, waste materials and glucose, amino acids, fatty acids, and each and everything which I have just explained you enough, all of these things will get excreted out. It will get passed out to the proximal convoluted tubule, right? So how it will get passed out from this glomerulus to this proximal convoluted tubule? With the help of a cells called as podocyte cells. I have said you, right? So at the bottom of this region of Bowman's capsule, there is a presence of cells called as podocyte cells, and that podocyte cells will help to pass that particular type of molecules from this glomerulus to this next region called as proximal convoluted tubule. Fine. And the remaining blood will move out through this efferent arteriole. Fine. So this process is called as first stage, which I have explained you, called as glomerular filtration. Fine. So now coming to the second stage called as tubular reabsorption. Tubular reabsorption. So basically this tubular reabsorption, basically these tubules will be of two types: proximal convoluted tubule and distal convoluted tubule. So now I am going to explain you what will happen in the proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, so basically for our better understanding, what I have done is that, so this water will be indicated with blue color and salts will be indicated with the green color and waste with black color. So remember these colors: water with blue, salts with green, and waste material with black in color, so that I can clearly explain you the mechanism over here. Okay, fine. So now what will happen, the salts, all of these molecules will get released out from this Bowman's capsule, from this glomerulus. This is what I explained you in the glomerular filtration, right? So now what will happen, all of these molecules will be released out into this proximal convoluted tubule, and now this proximal convoluted tubule will move, these molecules will move to this proximal convoluted tubule, and then what will happen, it moves toward this loop of Henle. It will move towards this loop of Henle, and here one of the most important thing will be done. So what is that? So here what will happen is that the water molecules, this blue color is a water molecule, right? And here this green color is nothing but the salts. So water molecule as well as the salts will be absorbed from this proximal convoluted tubule into the blood capillaries. So basically all of this green color one is nothing but the blood capillaries, right? So each and every type of nephron will be surrounded with the blood capillaries, that is for sure. Okay, so it will be absorbed. So this blood will absorb this water molecule as well as the salt molecules from this proximal convoluted tubule. Okay, so now what will happen, not total amount of water will be absorbed, only some amount of, approximately 70% of water will be absorbed in this region by this blood capillaries. And that, this blood capillaries, as they're present in a bunch like form, it is called as peritubular capillaries. Okay, they are divided as a groups, and hence it is called as peritubular capillaries. And these peritubular capillaries will absorb these water molecules as well as the salts from this proximal convoluted tubule. Then only what will happen, then only little amount of water as well as the waste material, which is indicated with the black color, will get passed out into the descending limb to the ascending limb, and then it will move towards the distal convoluted tubule. So remember the blue color one, this water molecules, only less amount of water molecule will be present, because 70% of water molecule has been absorbed by this peritubular capillaries, and then remaining 30% of the amount of water has been left over, right? And that will pass from proximal convoluted tubule to the distal convoluted tubule, right? So that will be passed over. So here what will happen, it moves towards the distal convoluted tubule. So this process which I explained you till now is the second stage, called as tubular reabsorption. The name itself indicates you reabsorption. So that reabsorption is nothing but the water molecules, which is indicated with the blue color, and the green color which is called as salts, will be completely absorbed from this proximal convoluted tubule. Now what will happen, it enters into the distal convoluted tubule, and here the third stage begins, called as tubular secretion. So now what will happen in this tubular secretion? Listen properly. So now once this water molecule as well as this waste material, only 30% of water molecule has been left over, right? And that one as well as this black color, which is called as waste material, will get moved towards this distal convoluted tubule. And here what will happen is that here secretion will be done. Secretion is nothing but what will happen, here from the blood, there basically this blood contains certain type of molecules called as urea, uric acid, creatinine will be present, and that will be secreted out into this distal convoluted tubule, And now what will happen, then the complete water molecules which are mainly present, over 30% of water molecules are present, right? And that will be completely released out. It will be released out. So once it is released out, then only 20% of water molecules will be released out, but remaining 10% of water will be present as it is. Okay, and now the 10% of water molecule and this urea, all of these molecules which are mainly present in the blood, has been absorbed by this distal convoluted tubule, right? So this urea, uric acid, creatinine, and the 10% of water as well as the waste material which is present, all of these things will move towards this collecting duct, right? And this process which has been done till now is called as tubular secretion. Fine. And now the all molecules. So what are the molecules? Again, I'm going to repeat it: urea, uric acid, creatinine, and certain type of ions, and 10% of water, and the waste material will completely collected by this collecting duct, right? So this is called as a collecting duct. And now this collecting duct will get attached to the ureter. I mean, I have said you right, you have to also think about this excretory system so that you can clearly understand. So now once it reaches to the collecting duct, then it will be moved towards this ureters in such a way that what will happen, then the urine, I mean all of this waste material together constitutes to form urine, and that urine will be released out. It will be released out from the urinary bladder, right? So this is one of the most important steps which you people have to remember in the mechanism of this nephron. So here some of the most important things I have noted here. So for your better understanding, I am going to repeat it. See, okay. So for every day, 180 liters of blood will get filtrated by this glomerulus. Okay, 180 liters of blood will get filtered daily by the glomerulus, right? So 1.5 to 2 liters of urine will get excreted from your body every day. Okay, so glomerulus plus glomus capsule together constitutes to form Malpighian body. So these are the nothing but which I have said you beforely. So these are called as primary urine, and once it moves towards the collecting duct, it is called as secondary urine. So now what we are excreting out is called as a secondary urine. Okay, so these are the waste products, waste molecules. Coming to the good molecules, they are glucose, amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, Na plus ions, K plus ions. So podocyte cells, so these are very important to remember. Podocyte cells are nothing but which are mainly present at the bottom surface of the Bowman's capsule, which mainly performs a major role in the filtration, where the molecules will get sent out to the proximal convoluted tubule from the glomerulus, right? So now coming to the last stage called as concentration of urine. So this is one of the most important stage. So in this stage what will happen? See, collecting duct will receive that particular secondary urine from that total nephron, right? Now what will happen is that the urine will get concentrated, will become concentrated. So how you can say that urine is becoming concentrated? Because all of this waste material which has been present in the blood will be completely reabsorbed in that in this collecting duct, so that the urine will become concentrated. And once it gets concentrated, then what will happen? Then it will get released out from the body through this urinary bladder. And basically the function of this concentration of urine will be done with the help of a hormone called as vasopressin. So from where this vasopressin will be released out? It will be released out from the pituitary gland. So this basically this pituitary gland is present below the brain part, okay, below the brain, and from this brain, I mean from this pituitary gland, which is mainly located below the brain, will release this vasopressin. So once this vasopressin has been released, then the concentration of the urine will become done. I mean the urine will become concentrated, and then what will happen? Then finally the urine will be excreted out from your body through urinary bladder. So this process will be done with the help of vasopressin. Now let us assume that this vasopressin is absent in some particular type of people. If this vasopressin is not get functioning, then what will happen? Then that person will lead to a disease called as diabetes insipidus, right? So this diabetes insipidus is a disease which is mainly caused due to deficiency of a hormone called as vasopressin, which should be released from the pituitary gland, which is mainly just below the present just below the brain. Okay, so this vasopressin plays a major and vital role. So without this vasopressin, I mean the urine will not become concentrated, and it leads to the disease called as diabetes insipidus. So this process is called as this is just the functioning about this nephron. So I hope the structure of the nephron as well as the function of the nephron is clear to you. And if you like my explanation, just like this video, subscribe to my channel, and also press the bell icon for the latest updates. And if you have any doubts regarding this topic, you can comment in the comment section. We are going to clarify your doubts immediately. Thank you.